Oh, we're live.
I think it's going. Do you want to pass my phone just in case?
Yeah.
I'll check.
Hopefully we are on live. We're doing it from the computer, which we haven't done before. So we're going to check.
Just in case. Okay.
Oh,
yeah, we're live.
Okay. Anyone's watching us yet?
Awkward now.
Nobody's here.
Okay.
Well, we'll do it anyways, because people are hopefully going to come and watch us because we know you're all in different time zones. So,
I said you'd be square if you didn't show up.
So you guys are all squares. Hi. So I am Coach Kate.
And I am Coach Francesco.
And our dog Lucky will probably make an appearance. We just moved and we don't have any notebooks, so we have some notes on the back of our insurance
Policy?
Yeah. So I guess just to kind of give a little bit of background on us. Oh, we have 7 people. Hi, guys.
Hey.
So we both tracked macros before we started dating. And we both had gone through sort of bodybuilding backgrounds. We both were extremely lean at one point doing like a bodybuilding prep. There it goes. Hey.
Yeah, so we both have bodybuilding backgrounds. I competed twice. If you guys ever want to see how gross and lean I got, you can check my Instagram and see what that kind of looks like. It's not a good place. So now Kate and I are both doing the opposite. Well, not the opposite, but we're definitely not getting stage lean, and we're just trying to eat good. We're going to be competing in 2 weeks. 2 weeks in a very small town called Red Deer. It's in Alberta. It's between Edmonton and Calgary.
So basically, we're talking today about how we kind of manage macros as a couple. And the reason why I kind of gave you that, or we gave you that background on kind of where we were versus, where we are now is that for any of you that either like we're single and we're tracking macros and entered into a relationship, or just even are married or have a partner already, there's a very different approach that you have to take because it's not just you. So we both were like 150% accurate with everything we ate before because our goals needed us to be. And you can still definitely do that in a partnership, but we basically just wanted to run through how we make it work now so we can be flexible, have our nights out, still have our goals, look good. We're weight class athletes, so we did kind of cut, but that's basically it. So we'll dive in. Do you want to start?
Yeah, so the first point we're going to go through is dealing with different macros. So one of the big things that we do, or at least I try to do, because, well, I do the grocery shopping, and I'm usually the person that's eating more of a lot more food. What I do is I'm trying to make sure that our place is macro friendly, and what I mean by that, there's nothing in the house that can like make you want to indulge. Well, like you can. I mean, it's really hard to eat a whole pack of rice cakes. There's about 17 of them, and it's pretty hard. Your mouth gets dry, whatever. But you can have a few. But anything else like chocolate, ice cream, I try to not buy on Kate's request or my request. In many situations, we can usually handle having those things at home. But I mean, I know for myself, when Kate's not home and I'm stressed out, I am going right to the freezer and eating the froyo out of with a spoon. So I know I can't really anticipate when I'm going to get stressed. I can't anticipate when Kate's going to be stressed or when she's really hungry during whatever phase she's in. So what I try to do is try to fill up the house with everything but delicious things.
Yeah, and I definitely have I have a big sweet tooth. Like I can turn anything into a dessert. So having those foods for me, like I enjoy incorporating them into my diet. I mean, you've all seen our ice cream cones on Instagram, but I guess I think this point is just gonna get worked in. But part of like making this successful with another person is just communicating. So some weeks I'll go grocery shopping with Frankie and we'll go in the frozen food aisle and I'll be like, you know what, froyo is not, it can't be in the house this week. Like it's just not.
Always ask her first.
Yeah.
Make sure, like, is it okay?
And we keep like mini chocolates in the car, so it's, you know, not in the house. So if I want to have my little O. Henry, we have to go to the car to get it, or we have it on the drive to the gym. So just kind of out of sight, out of mind. And we also just kind of have to have empathy for where the other person is. So the easy one is for him to not be, you know, walking around the house complaining about how much food he has to eat, or, you know, kind of showing off that he has all this food. But as someone who sometimes eating like, I don't know, like a quarter, like a third of the carbs that he is, I also just need to kind of realize that he also is working at his goals. So if he has to have a giant bowl of oatmeal, or if I really want rice, I can't get sour that he, you know, gets to eat those foods and I don't, because at the end of the day, we're both working towards our goals, and you have to be, you know, understanding and supportive, even if he might be like a little bit jealous.
I will say though, Kate's really lucky that lucky's right here, and I said the word lucky. I got confused, and Kate's really lucky in the fact that I don't have a sweet tooth. I don't, as much as I like those foods because they're easy to eat and they are tasty, I'm never really thinking about food. So for me, there's just food in front of me, and I'll just eat it without like making a big deal out of it. So I'm okay eating oatmeal all day, or toast, or bland cereals. I really don't care. It's just food to me, as sad as that sounds. But I do love my ice creams.
But you'll also foods that are still, you know, maybe delicious, but not my like trigger food. So like granola bars or things like that I don't care about. And we put it like in the top cabinet, kind of, again, just like out of plain view. It's not on the counter. There's not bags of chips everywhere, things like that. And then I guess leading into our next point, we also kind of keep our main meals similar. So when we're cooking and getting ready for the week, usually our meals are basically the same every day for what we eat, but it'll be like a lean protein, a vegetable, and then I'll either have like a salad or like a small portion of carbs, or he'll have protein, vegetables, and then a larger portion. So when we do like food prep for the week, like I like to have my meals made, and he doesn't. So what I'll do is kind of bulk cook protein, some carb sources, and either like chop up some vegetables, or I just keep them in the fridge, or like cook them in bulk and keep them in the fridge in excess of what I'm going to eat. So I'll have my whatever 3 meals a day already, and then we'll have like protein and other things ready so that I don't have to make all of his meals, because he eats a lot of meals. But we can also like very easily sit down for dinner and not have to be like taking turns in the kitchen or having 6 pans going. Because one thing that I hear a lot from my members is that they want to be able to sit down and have a meal with their family, and they don't want to have to be, you know, glued to their phone or stressed out making a completely separate meal. So if you kind of simplify it and have some of the key ingredients just ready to go, it saves a lot of time and a lot of dishes. So that's always good.
So one of the things that I do is like, I really just don't expect Kate to cook for me. I can't do that. I can't put that expectation on her. So when she does do the bulk cooking, I just ask that she puts those things away for me so that I can reach for it. I mean, it's kind of hard for me to see Kate bulk cook all this stuff and like, can I touch this?
For you.
Is there anything left? I mean, I did just go to the grocery store and buy all of it. Like, can I eat it? So I always have to like tiptoe and make sure I ask. But even then, like I still try to eat the same food as she does. She might just have them already prepped out because she knows what portion sizes she's going to eat. But for me, I have no idea, and it's all based on my hunger. If you guys follow me on Instagram and seen my stories, I eat really ridiculous volumes, and like I just want my body to tell me to stop eating. So I'll just go in and I'll have a big bag of salad, dump it in a thing, and then have my meal that's already twice the size of Kate's along with hers, and she's just looking at me like, what are you even doing? You have all this food and you're eating the salad.
I'm like, I don't eat a salad ever.
And here I am with almost like 500 carbs still eating all this salad because it's something that I also enjoy, and that goes back to what we were saying. Kate just really has no interest in what I eat, which definitely helps with us.
Do you want to talk about like helping each other out? I want to grab something to show everybody.
Okay.
BRB.
Lead each other's strengths. Okay, yes. So one of the things that Kate hates is the way that I cook. She hates how I make food. She hates the way I make anything on a plate. She knows that she can just make it better, and if she only has so many macros and she doesn't want to waste it on something I make, and I totally understand that. My food tastes bland. It's just a bunch of mixed, really good ingredients, so it just takes whatever I'm making, it tastes okay. So what Kate does is, what I do is I ask her for the grocery list, what she has on her meal plan that week, whatever food she's in. We all have the flavor of the week kind of thing. So Kate sends me, I go get that. Right now it's beets and rutabaga. No, not rutabaga. But what's the green stuff?
Rhubarb.
Rhubarb. She's on the rhubarb kick. And what else are you liking right now?
Spaghetti squash. Berries, Ontario berries.
Yeah.
But I was kind of stalling because I apparently these are a big thing on Amazon in America, but I have to get these on eBay. But these are so handy. Okay, lucky this is not a toy. So it's like a silicone pan dam. So you can just stick it right in your frying pan and not give it to your dog. And you can just create 2 separate meals. So whether you're meal prepping for yourself and you have 2 meals for the day that you want to cook but you don't feel like doing math, you can do it. Or if I'm cooking a bunch of vegetables for our dinners, I'll put mine on one side and his on the other. And it's the most amazing thing because I swear I used to go through like 10 pans because I actually am very inefficient, or I used to be very inefficient in terms of how I prepped food. Or just even little things like if I'm baking vegetables, I'll just take tin foil and make little kind of origami baskets for them, and I'll take a permanent marker and put a K or an F on the outside, and I can know that all my vegetables are 50 grams per and all of his are 150. So it just kind of saves some time and cleanup. Yeah.
Which goes back to what I was trying to say was that Kate does all the cooking, I do the grocery shopping, and then I also do all the cleaning. So she makes this big mess, like she said, origami, whatever. It doesn't work. It doesn't keep anything in the aluminum foil. It's all over the pan. I don't tell you this. I spend like way too long just doing all the dishes. But I don't mind too because I know she made something that was really tasty that she wanted, that I wanted, and I didn't have to cook. So
yeah, it's just kind of being fair and trying to split up the work to support each other. Meals out. So this is something that I think is one of like the hardest things in my opinion for like couples going out, and you obviously want to have a date night. Like there's nothing more annoying than when someone is on their phone.
I'm trying to see.
I'm kidding. He's looking at the group. You don't want to be rude. You don't want to be glued to your phone. You want to enjoy the company with your loved one or your family or your friends. So one thing that we kind of do is we have our routine restaurants. So it might be different than what you guys have in America, but we go to like Montana's, which is kind of just like a basic chain restaurant. You can get a barbecue restaurant. I don't know. So we'll go and they have their nutrition online. So we've already kind of planned what we want to eat. It's very easy. So we have our go-to meals. So we know roughly what the macros are for those. So we'll, just log it into our phones before we go so that we don't have to spend 5 minutes inputting things into MyFitnessPal when we could be staring at each other's faces.
Mm-hmm. Lucky, buddy.
What else?
So. Sorry, what Kate was saying. So that's something that she does, and I do too a lot of the time. But we're talking Lucky or me? Oh, Lucky. Of course, it's never me. I just try to order what I think or what I already know is going to fit. With my macros, I know I can always have something that's high protein, low fat, and usually moderate carbs. So just by doing that, I can kind of sift through the menu and see, and it ends up being the exact same thing. I usually just get chicken, a potato, or some sort of bread, and a side of vegetables just to keep things simple. It all depends on how we're feeling, but that usually like when we're on the go and we just need something to eat because traffic is 2 or 3 hours long and it's just easier to eat something then, it is something that I will do. Yeah.
And then like we also will have kind of this rule because sometimes you go somewhere and you may not have a plan or it's like a special night out and you're going to be a little bit more flexible. You're not just going to order chicken and salad. We'll kind of, not like make a rule, but just we have our 5 minutes and we order our food, we enter it, and then the phones go away. We really try to make a point to be present. And another thing that we kind of do is when we go out to order, we do the same thing that we tell you guys to do. So we order, salad dressing on the side, no oil, toast dry, all those things. And oftentimes we kind of order the same thing. So I usually let Frankie kind of take the lead in terms of delivering it.
Kate doesn't like to make those kinds of conversations or that special requests. I really don't care. I've done it for so long, and I just, yeah. So I'm totally okay with taking the lead on that one and throwing myself under the bus. And Kate just like does this little hand wave, like I'm the complicated person asking for all these weird things. I'm like, really, like this is really more for you.
No, so, but just like, say if one person, like I don't really mind, but it's easier if we just do it that way. But if one person, is kind of more self-conscious about it, like that's totally cool. Just, let the other person kind of take the lead and kind of do the oil, can you steam my vegetables, all those things. It kind of makes it easier if someone is on the shy side. Oh yeah, family events. So we're both super lucky because both of our parents are very, very supportive. Frankie's mom actually tracks macros.
She tracks macros. She does. So any of you guys can tell me about my fitness pal, whatever. She doesn't speak English. She doesn't have the greatest writing skills, and she does everything by hand. I come home and she like has this big piece of paper with all these scribbles on it, with all her totals or counts, whatever, and it's an absolute rock star. So, but.
Yeah. Martha. So sometimes, even if you've been dating or married or whatever for a long time, you might not be totally comfortable showing up to your partner's family events and being like, that doesn't fit my macros, or I can't eat that, or having a little bit of anxiety about, how you're going to navigate the event. So what we kind of do is like let the person whose family it is kind of take the lead. So especially because my macros are lower, sometimes we'll go to a family function and I'll like be looking around. I'll be like, okay, there's not really a whole lot. So, he's the first one to kind of, ask around, be like, are there any vegetables? Or like, do you have, some vinegar? Like say if there's no alternatives to like a super oily salad dressing. We'll also stop and pick up, like some like diet soda or sparkling water to bring with us, because sometimes people are just drinking alcohol. I don't drink, or I also don't like water that much. Don't tell anyone. So we rather have like a club soda or a Perrier to kind of tide me over through the evening, and it also helps me from, snacking, because if you're somewhere and you don't always have a ton of choices, and maybe they don't have great options, it's easier just to have something in your hand, so you're not sort of tempted to pick at what's on the table.
Yeah, and for some context, like my family is Mexican, so the foods that are there are usually really complicated, super just weird mixed dishes. Delicious. Like tamales. There's all these the fried stuff. Kate, Mexican food better than I do, but which is really funny. But so for what I have to do is, as I call ahead, I ask my mom, like, hey, do you have these things? And if not, I make sure that Kate is well fed right before we go, and I do get that diet pop to keep her happy and myself happy, because it's really tough trying to be a social person and communicate and be the person you have to be at these events with your family when you're hungry. We've all been to that point where you get to that low energy feeling, or you just get hangry and you start, like Kate said, snacking. And it's really easy to just go to the chips because you think you can log a few, but then it just gets out of hand and you can just keep going and going and going. So keeping your hands busy, always making sure that we eat something before we go, that's a really big one. And if not, then we promise each other something good that we can drag at home.
Yeah, we'll stop and get something good on the way home. So what do I tell people when they ask me why I don't drink? I usually am just kind of honest. I'm either like, I just don't feel great when I drink. Like I totally, like, I'm at a point with my macros. Obviously I don't tell them this part, but I'm at a point with my macros where I could very easily fit in, a cocktail or two if I really wanted to, but I know that I just don't really feel good. So, I usually just keep it kind of short and to the point. And I say, yeah, like, you know what, either like I have an early morning or, you know, it doesn't really make me feel good. I'm kind of past a point where like I care. I don't know. And most people, like, sometimes there's always that one family member that's like, oh, but just come on, just do it. But that person, if it's not alcohol, it's going to be, you know, what you're eating, what you're wearing, where you're going on vacation, why you chose to move somewhere, what you named your dog, like why your eyes are blue, like, you know, like this
is us. In case you guys aren't getting that, it's my family picking on Kate.
And my mom's like, oh, that's great, sweetie. No, but like those types of people who kind of push and push, they're gonna find something to push and prod and kind of, you know, just kind of be annoying about. So you just need to realize that it doesn't matter. You just kind of need to do what you need to do. And most people will just drop it and be like, oh, okay, cool. And then everyone else, they're going to just bug you about something. And I'll link the Amazon link, the store, to the Pan Dam. I just Googled, I think it was just silicone pan dam or silicone pan divider or something. But I'll link a link in the comments after this. What else?
For me, with drinking, while Kate looks for that, I either tell them that I don't like drinking, and the reason for that is I honestly just don't care for the taste. If I'm just going to have a casual drink, I prefer really not to, unless it's something really tasty. It's got to be like a mixed drink.
A really girly cocktail.
I don't want to put the word girly because whatever, but yeah, I like a girly cocktail. I like to just sip on it and whatever and enjoy it. And if it's not tasty, I really don't want to drink it. I mean, it just doesn't appeal to me. Or I'll tell them that I'm driving. And Kate will attest to this one. I am a super lightweight. When you haven't drinking for so long, your tolerance is so low that like one drink will give me a pretty good buzz. And I'm not going to put this one's life in jeopardy. So no drinking for me.
Okay, so how we kind of support each other. So as everyone knows who has dieted, you all have those days where you're snacky or you're hangry or you're just bored and pacing around the house, and we work from home. So, you know, when you're having those moments at the office, imagine if you were, you know, 3 feet away from your kitchen. So it's like, this all sounds kind of ridiculous. Hi, Lucky. But like there will be days where I'll just be like, Frankie, I am having a snack attack. We need to leave the house. Like, are you caught up enough to go for a walk for 20 minutes? Like, I need to get out of the house because I'm going to eat everything. I'm going to eat all the rice cakes in this house, and I can't do that. So just be upfront and be honest and be like, you know, hey, like I'm having a really hard day, or hey, I'm really struggling with my macros this week. For some reason, I'm really hungry. I'm really stressed. Like, I think the stress one is actually perfect because that's something everyone deals with, and it's something that comes up a lot. But just be like, you know, I'm really stressed. I'm really tempted to, you know, eat all this food, or I'm really hungry because of it. Like, can we sit down and talk about it? Talk it out rather than try to fix it with food, or, you know, go for a walk outside, or hey, you know, I'm going to have this really huge high volume dinner and I'm going to feel super full. But do you want to go for a walk later and get a little treat, or like go to this, like a 7-Eleven and get a mini chocolate bar, and then go to the park, or just kind of get outside and get away from it, but just be like transparent. Because a lot of times, like looking back at when we first started dating, I didn't want to admit that I was struggling with hunger or struggling with dieting or anything, because I thought that I was like, oh, he's perfect with his macros and he's, you know, coach.
I was until I met this one.
No, like, I mean, we're good, but it's just like, I didn't want to be vulnerable in that way and share that, because I felt like I had to be the one that was perfect. And a lot of times, like, I have some couples that I coach, both of them, and sometimes one of them will write to me and say, you know what, I was having a really bad day, but I didn't want to bring down so-and-so because I was having a hard day, or I didn't want them to feel that I was failing the program, or I wasn't doing as good as them. And I think we all have those thoughts that we want to be the best for our partner, and we don't want to admit that we're struggling, but just do it, just because they've been there. Like, they've probably been there and they've probably had those days. So just being able to say like, hey, like I need some help, and hey, I can't have these foods in the house right now because it's hard for me, or hey, this would make my life easier. You know, just be open and communicate, because chances are they're having their own sort of struggle or have had it. So just kind of be open and honest about it.
Yeah, side note, or what Kate was saying about working from home, I wanted to throw this one in there, is a couple times what I've done in the past is when I'm having a really rough day and my hunger is just whatever, and I just need to get through the work day, and there's nothing. I like stopped going grocery shopping. Kate can tell you this too. When I was making weight, she came home and there was nothing left in the kitchen. I didn't go grocery shopping for a week.
Yeah,
I was just like,
go for a week and there's literally nothing in the house.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
There's nothing here. I was like picking at the Triscuits, whatever. Like I was having a real hard time. So luckily I was also water loading, and so one of the things I did, and I've done this before too, was walk myself over to McDonald's. And right now it's dollar drink days, and I will literally just sit there at the table with a Diet Pop in my mouth, sipping on it as I do work, just so I can get my mind off of food, because I just couldn't do it. And a lot of my clients, and Kate kind of went into this too, is when you're stressed, you know, it's not even real hunger, it's something else. So being able to communicate that with her and let her know, like, I'm going through these things too. She understands, and she's like, "You're a total idiot. What are you doing going to McDonald's?" Like, she gets it.
Yeah. And also, like, this is kind of a side note, but a couple too. But you know, if you are stressed or you are hungry, or even if you know one person's really struggling and the other person isn't, like just getting outside and walking around, or you know, it helps reduce stress. It'll help reduce hunger. It'll help dieting or staying on track easier, which makes things easier for you two as a couple.
Yeah.
So go for walks. I think that's almost everything. Oh yeah, I guess accommodating treats. Do you want to talk about that one? About when I surprise you with ice cream?
Oh yeah, so accommodating treats. This is a really big one. Like Kate said earlier, like she has a really big sweet tooth. Where like I enjoy sweets, but I'm never really thinking about dessert. I'm never really thinking, like, I'll get cravings. Yeah, like I want something salty, I want something sweet, but I just don't get insatiable cravings like she does for something really delicious. She'll run around the house or like in the fridge and in the kitchen and just be like, I just want something delicious. Like, and I'm just like, why don't you have this? And she just gives me this look because she knows it's a terrible idea. Like my idea of a meal is ridiculous. But what I'll do, and I've told a couple of my clients this before too, is one client, Brian, your wife right now is pregnant. She's having all these cravings, and I told you to, well, whatever, eat really low or really high volume during the day, and so high protein, low carb, low fat, because you just don't know. You can't anticipate how I can't anticipate how she's going to feel later on, and whether she wants something tasty like an ice cream cone from McDonald's or not. Because really, when we go, it's really up to her and her macros whether we're going to have that or not. And so what I try to do is do that. And then at nighttime, like I'm like trying to scarf down like all this cereal, trying to just finish my day because I don't want to eat anymore. And then it goes into me not complaining about being super full or whatever, because I ate salads all day to possibly accommodate to what she wants, or just because I'm going through something. It kind of works out in both ways, but yeah.
Someone's asking you what your favorite non-dense snack is.
Non-dense snack. High volume, a salad. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen me like eat, I don't know how many salads a day. It's my favorite thing. Otherwise, non-dense. Other than that, it's really rice cakes. I can eat those all day long. I'll go into the kitchen, grab one, leave. Luckily, like the snacks that we do have in the house are really low calories, so I can go in the kitchen and know if I have a rice cake, I'm not screwing myself over later in the day. Aside from that, I love fruit, low calorie yogurts. Kate and I will make this dish, what we call cottage cheese surprise, and it'll be about like 200 grams of yogurt or cottage cheese, like 150 grams of low-calorie yogurt mixed in with some Splenda, maybe some protein if like we need to. Kate doesn't do that, but a couple fruits or berries and a lot of puff cereal, and we'll just eat that all day. It's funny because she has way lower macros, but I'll eat the same foods just and then with about 200 carbs worth of rice cakes.
Crazy. So my client Eva wants to know, how do you hit your carb macros with such low fats? And is your lower fats a preference, or do you respond better to low fat? That's a great question.
That is a fantastic question. It comes down to really both. I prefer carbs over fats, but when you're leaner, I tend to find with myself and a lot of my athletes is that we respond better to carbs. It's not like I need so many carbs for training. I'm a powerlifter. I'm not doing most of your CrossFit watts or whatever. I'm doing a few reps, and when I'm in a hypertrophy phase, even then, I don't need that many, but I just prefer them. They're delicious. They come in the form of rice cakes and fruits and salads, and low fat is just easier for me to do. At this point, I wouldn't even know what to add into my food. It's just not in my grocery list to have high fat foods. I think maybe the fattiest thing we have in the house is whole eggs and chicken fats, and even then, it's not that much. So it really comes down to preference. But I'm not against high fats. I have many clients that have them. But really, if you follow me on my FitnessPal, I eat lots and lots of rice cakes throughout the day with my meals. Otherwise, it's potatoes, rice, English muffins, yogurts, and fruits. And I think, oh no, I did not say oatmeal. I also eat really gross-looking oatmeal.
English muffins, thin sliced bread. Is lowering carbs the best way to lean out like Brooke Wells? She changed a lot and is impressive. Well, in order to lean out, it's really just about having an appropriate calorie intake. I mean, Brooke Wells obviously is an elite athlete, and her transformation, I mean, I think she probably looked amazing before as well, but she already had quite a good amount of muscle maturity. So it's not about lowering carbs or fats necessarily. It's just about being at an appropriate calorie intake to maintain that level of leanness.
For me, it would be the best way to lean out because that's where the majority of my calories come from. Exactly. And I think that might be the case for Brooke. She may have had moderate fats and her fats just didn't change much for maybe preference or just any reason really. So they just dropped their calories from carbs. That's the easiest way to do it for an athlete. And if you drop fats, you could, but I mean, for her, she probably just needed to find a deficit somewhere.
Yeah, it's really individual. It's super individual. Yeah.
So if we don't get any questions in the next 10 seconds, I think we're going to call it. I'll give a second for the delay.
Awkward with another person here. You don't feel like you're just talking to the screen.
Okay, well, Thank you so much, guys. If you guys did have any other questions later on, feel free to put them here, and I will answer them. Kate will answer them. I really don't mind.
I'll post the link to my Pandam.
And if you guys are more interested in our lives and what we're eating and what we're doing, we like putting that stuff on Instagram. So my Instagram handle is F_Catalano, and yours is?
At Bratsy_Klein. We can just write it. It's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
We got one more question. I'll fill this one
sorry.
out. How do you eat when on vacation for 1 week? Do you want me to do this one?
You can go through it, but you can go ahead.
Okay, so what we tend to do is fill up on breakfast. We go somewhere that we know we can eat something really light, or this is at least what I do. Kate does something a little bit different. And I'll try to get the majority of my protein in. So I'll probably have maybe 1,000 calories, 100 grams of protein, just throwing out numbers, really low fat, really low carbs, and try to eat as high volume as I can, knowing that later on I'm probably going to eat something more calorie dense. Again, this really individual or depends on what kind of vacation you're going on. But if you're going out for dinner, you're like traveling through a city, that approach usually tends to work best. Eating light at every possible time that you can, staying active, and
we also will like pack a lot of stuff too. So obviously, if you're traveling, you don't want to bring an entire tub of protein. So that's the hardest macro to hit on the go. So we'll usually bring maybe 2 pounds, like 1 to 2 pounds of protein powder with us, just to kind of top up, depending on what we're eating. We usually try to stick to like 2 meals a day that we're eating out. So I love breakfast food, so I'll usually have a more like indulgent breakfast, like I'll have pancakes or something, and then I'll just stick to the same types of meals that we talked about before. Like I'll have just like a salad and some grilled chicken or vegetables later in the day, because I would just prefer to have a denser breakfast. And kind of sticking to 2 meals allows you to have a bit more flexibility to eat what you want. And then we kind of just like keep snacks with us when we travel. And again, just kind of try to be like respectful of each other's like diets. Like if I'm super cutting and I need to be more precise, he's not going to be like, yeah, let's go get all you can eat wings. Not that we ever do that, but like we're not going to go to a restaurant where I'm going to feel uncomfortable or I don't have any options, and vice versa. Yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Okay, I think we're gonna log off now because we've been on here for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have any other questions, you can just comment them below and we will answer them.
More than happy to.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.